back to my YouTube channel. This is day 1 of JAMB 2025. I got some of the questions that was asked from my students, so I decided to share it in case you see similar thing or something close to it, so that I can be able to solve it and get the correct answer. If you're watching this channel for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel because you have a lot to gain. With no further ado, let's get right into the video. Which of the following instruments is best for measuring the diameter of a thin Constantine wire? Option A, calipers. Option B, meter rule. Option C, micrometer screw gauge. Option D, vernier calipers. The correct option in this particular question is option C, because micrometer screw gauge is used to measure smaller length, still smaller length, like a thickness of a piece of paper, diameter of a thin wire, and the diameter of a small ball. Okay, let's go to number 2. Which of the following quantities is a vector? Option A, speed. Option B, distance. Option E, energy. Option D, momentum. We all know that a vector quantity is a quantity that has both magnitude and what? Direction. So from what we have, the only correct option here is what? Option D, which is what? Momentum, because momentum is the product of mass multiplied by what? Velocity. The velocity there becomes a vector quantity, and that is why momentum is a vector quantity. So in case you see it or something like that, or something relating vector and scalars, you should be able to pick the correct answer. Okay, all right, so it's option D. Number 3, the SI unit of pressure is what? Option A, Newton meter. Option B, joule second. Option C, Newton meter square. Option D, watt. Now if you know that pressure is force per unit area, right? That is Newton per meter what? Square. Okay, so the correct option to this question is option C. Question 4. If two forces of 5 Newton and 12 Newton act at right angle to each other, the resultant force is what? Option A, 7 Newton. Option B, 10 Newton. Option C, 13 Newton. Option D, 17 Newton. Now for us to solve this question, they said two forces, they are at right angle to each other. That means we have this. This is the first one is what? 5 Newton. The second one is 12 Newton. And right angle means they are at perpendicular to each other. Okay, so we are going to complete it to get the resultant vector. We now cross it. This is my what? My resultant force. So I'm going to use Pythagoras theorem, which says that what? F is equals to root of F1 square plus F2 square. Okay, then F is equals to root of, what is my F1? I have 5 square plus 12 square, right? Now I will say F is equals to, the square of 5 is going to give us 25 plus what? 144, right? Then by the time I proceed, I'll have that F is equals to what? When I add it, I'm going to have root of 169. Okay, if I have root of 169, if I work it out, root of 169 is going to give me 13 Newton, right? Now you have gotten the force to be what? 13 Newton, and the correct answer is option what? C. But peradventure, the question says again, because you know they normally change question, and you should get the acceleration and we are given the mass. Okay, we now remember that F is equals to what? M what? A. Now I have gotten this force to be 13. If I put the mass here and make A the subject, I'm going to get what? The acceleration. I hope that is clear. All right. Question 5. The area under a velocity time graph represents A, distance, B, speed, C, displacement, and D, acceleration. The area under a velocity time graph represents what? Acceleration, because acceleration is velocity over what? Time. So the correct answer is option D. Question 6. A car accelerates uniformly from rest to a speed of 20 meters per second in 5 seconds. What is its acceleration? We have the following options. Option A, 4 meters per second square. Option B, per second square. Option C, 10 meters per second square. Option D, 20 meters per second square. Now one thing that will come to your mind is the question says car accelerate uniformly from rest. That means move from rest, or start from rest, or accelerate from rest. They all means the same thing. What it means that the initial velocity of this particular body is what? 0. Okay, so let us write that the u is equals what? 0. Now it now moved to a speed of what? 20 meters per second. That particular speed becomes our final velocity. So that means my v is equals what? 20, sorry, this is 20 meters per what? Second. Then the time is what? 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, now what are we looking for? We are looking for acceleration a. Okay, now if you remember that acceleration is equals to v minus u over what? T, right? Now let us put the parameters we have. This is 20 minus 0 divided by what? 5, of which you know that 20 minus 0 is what? 0. So this is equals to 20 over what? 5. Then when you divide this, you give us 1. Divide is going to give me what? 4. So the answer becomes what? 4 meters per second square. Is that clear? So from what we've got, the correct option to this question is option what? A. But you still really need to learn questions involving motion and the equations of motion in case you see something that is not similar but is under equations of motion, so you can be able to solve it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Question 7. An example of a first class lever is what? Option A, claw hammer. Option B, scissors. Option C, wheelbarrow. Option D, sugar tongue. Now look at this option. This is the question. They said third class lever. This claw hammer and scissors, they are under first order lever, right? In which the fulcrum or the pivot is between the load and the what? Effort. Okay. Then wheelbarrow is an example of second order lever in which the load is between the fulcrum and the effort. Okay. Sugar tongue and forearm, they are all under what? Third class lever. So the correct option to this question is option D. Question 8. The bending of light as it passes from one medium to another is called A, diffraction, B, polarization, C, interference, D, refraction. Now look at it now. They say the bending of a light ray as it's passing from one medium to what? Another. These are the properties of what? Wave. And the particular one that involves light traveling from one medium to another is said to be what? Refraction. Okay? So the correct answer is what? D. Question 9. A machine has an efficiency of 80%. If the input work is 200 joules, the output work is what? Option A, 250 joules. Option B, 160 joules. Option C, 120 joules. Option D, 100 joules. Now look at it now. The question says a machine has an efficiency of 80%. So that means efficiency is what? 80 what? Percent. Okay. Then the work input is given as 200. So this is work in is 200 what? Joules. You're looking for what? Work out, which is work output. Sorry. Work output, right? So we're going to use the efficiency formula that involves work done. Efficiency is equals to work output over work input, okay, then times 100%. So since you're looking for work input, let's just substitute. My efficiency is what? 80 over 1 is equals to the work output all over, we are giving the work input to be 200 times 100 over 1, right? 200 times 80, that is what? 16000, right? Is equals to 100 work out. Okay, then I divide both sides by what? 100. I divide both sides by 100. This cancels this. Okay, now this cancel this cancel this. So my work output is equals to 160 joules. Do you understand? So this is how to solve this type of problem in case you see it in your exam. Okay, so from what we've got so far, the correct option to this question is option B. Question 10. What is the primary function of a fuse in an electric circuit? Option A, to increase voltage. Option B, to decrease resistance. Option C, to protect against overcurrent. Option D, to filter out current. So the function of a fuse is to protect our device against overcurrent. So the correct option to this question is option C. Question 11. What is the principle behind the operation of a transformer? Option A, electromagnetic induction. Option B, electromagnetic radiation. Option C, electrostatic induction. Option D, magnetic resonance. Correct answer to this question is option A, which is electromagnetic induction. Okay. Question 12. A 5 kilogram block is moving with a velocity of 4 meters per second. What is the kinetic energy? Option A, 20 joules. Option B, 40 joules. Option C, 80 joules. Option D, 100 joules. And from this question, we have the mass as what? The mass to be 5 kilogram and the velocity, which is V, to be 4 meters per second. We are asked to calculate the kinetic energy, and the formula for kinetic energy is half mv square, right? So let us put the values that we have. We have that half times, what is my mass? My mass is what? 5 times. My velocity is 4. I say 4. Okay. Now this is 4 what? Square. By the time I square it, I have this is 1 over 2 times 5 times what? 16. Okay. So if 2 should divide itself, you have what? 1. If 2 to divide 16, you have what? 8. So therefore, 5 times 8 is going to give me what? 40 joules. Is that clear? So the correct option to this question is option B. Question 13. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius is called option A, heat capacity. Option B, specific heat capacity. Option C, latent heat. Option D, specific latent heat. So the correct option to this question is option B, which is specific heat capacity, because it's the quantity of heat required to raise a unit mass of an object or a substance by 1 Kelvin. Okay, but if you are considering the whole of the body, we now consider what? Heat capacity. I hope that is clear. Question 14. A 10 kilogram block is lifted vertically upwards by 2 meters. What is the work done? And we are giving G as 10 meters per second square. We have the following options. Option A, 100 joules. Option B, 200 joules. Option C, 196 joules. And option D, 400 joules. So now, let us just take the parameters. We are giving the mass to be 10 kilograms. Okay, we have the distance, or we have the height. We have the height to be 2 meters. Then we have G to be 10 meters per second square. Okay, now for us to calculate the work done is equals to mgh. So this is the work done against gravity. So let's just put our parameters by saying that this is, my mass is what? 10. My G is 10. My H is 2. Now, by the time you multiply, you're going to have your work done to be 200 what? Joules. I hope that is clear. Alright, so the correct option to this question is option B. A 10 ohm resistor carries a current of 2 amperes. What is the power dissipated? Option A, 20 watts. Option B, 40 watts. Option C, 60 watts. Option D, 80 watts. Now from the parameters, we are giving what? The resistance to be what? 10 ohms, okay? And we have the current to be 2 amperes. And we have to calculate the power, okay? Then the formula for power, remember that power is equals to IV, or I square what? R, or V square over what? R. Okay, now for us to solve this, the particular parameters we have is I. P equals to I square R. So let's work it out by saying that my P is equals to I square what? R. So what is my I? That is 2. So that is 2 square times what? 10. Okay, so what do we have? 2 square is what? 4. 4 times 10 is what? 40 watts. Is that clear? So the correct option is option B. How long does it take a 720 watt heater to raise a temperature of 1 kg of water from 20 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius? And we are giving specific heat capacity of water to be 4200 joules per kilograms per Kelvin. Option A, 84 seconds. Option B, 112 seconds. Option C, 168 seconds. Option D, 28 seconds. Now you should know that if you're talking about how long means what? Time. And the quantity of heat, H, is equals to mc what? Theta. But because you're using an electric heater, in an electric heater, you're not going to use the quantity of heat at H. So it becomes what? PT is equals to MC what? Theta. Is that clear? From the question, we are looking for time. So T is what we are looking for. We have the power to be 720 watts. Okay? Then we have the temperature from 20 to 50. That means the difference is what? 30 degrees what? Celsius. And we have the C of water, which is specific heat capacity, at 4200 joules per kilograms per Kelvin. So let's just put in what we have to get our answer. Now we can make T the subject by saying that T is equals to MC theta over what? P, right? Let's just put our parameters. What is my mass? Is what? 1 times C is what? 4200, then times what? 30. I'll now divide it by my power, which is 720, right? So by the time I work it out, answer becomes 175 seconds, okay? So the correct answer is option what? D. Question 17. An object is in free fall when A. It is thrown upwards, B. It is at rest, C. The only force acting on it is gravity, D. It moves down. Correct option is option C, which is the only force acting on it is what? Gravity. That is only when we assume that an object is in free fall. That is option C. 18. In a vacuum, all electromagnetic waves travel at A. Different speed, B. Light speed, C. Sound speed, D. Varying speed depending on wavelength. So the correct option is what? Light speed. So in a vacuum, all electromagnetic waves travel with the speed of light. And we all know that this particular speed is constant, which is what? 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So the correct option is option 1. Question 19. A 2 microfarad capacitor is charged to 100 volts. What is the energy stored? Option A, 0.01 joules. Option B, 0.1 joules. Option C, 1 joules. Option D, 10 joules. Now we have the parameters as the capacitance of a capacitor to be 2 times 10 to the power of minus 6 farad, right? You must remove this micro by replacing it with what? Minus 6. And we have the PD to be 100 what? Volts. Then the formula for the energy stored, E, is equals to half CV what? Square. Okay? There we go by saying this is half times 2 times 10 to the power of what? Minus 6 times 100 all what? Squared, right? Now if these two cancel this, we have what? 1. So this becomes 1 times 10 to the power of minus 6 times 10 to the power of what? 4. Right? By the time you work it out, you're going to have what? This is 1 times 10 to the power of what? Minus 2, okay? Joules, which is the same thing as what? 0.01 joules, right? Okay, so the correct option to this question is option A. Question 20. The following statements about flotation are correct except A. All objects float because obtuse experience by object equals weight of object. B. A floating object displaces its own weight of fluid. C. Object floats when its density is less than that of liquid. D. Object float because weight of fluid is more than that of liquid. Option D. Object float because the weight of fluid is more than that of the object. I hope this video is able to help someone out there. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications to get notified each time I post videos. And lastly, do not forget to share so that other students that are preparing for this same forthcoming exam can see it and learn from there. I will see you next time in the next one. Bye for now.